When ambitious reporter Zara Smith laughed at Jungkook's claims about revolutionary quantum energy technology during a live interview, she had no idea her skepticism would change her life forever. What began as a career-threatening mistake quickly transforms into the story of the century as Jungkook invites her to witness his invention firsthand, revealing not just world-changing technology but possibly humanity's first evidence of contact with something beyond our world. Now Zara must decide whether to break the biggest story in history or protect a secret that might not be ready for the public. Her journey from embarrassed journalist to keeper of an extraordinary truth starts with a simple interview gone wrong. Zara Smith's stomach fluttered with butterflies as she adjusted her blazer in the mirror of the studio bathroom. Today was the day. After 5 years of chasing stories, working holidays, and clawing her way up from Channel 8 weather girl to Global News Network correspondent, she was finally getting her big break. "You've got this," she whispered to her reflection. Her dark eyes stared back, determined but nervous. In just 30 minutes, she would be sitting across from Jungkook himself, live on national television with millions watching. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from Mom. "Good luck today, Beta. We're all watching." Zara smiled. Her parents had always supported her dream of becoming a journalist, even when it meant moving from their small town to the big city. They'd be watching with the entire extended family gathered in their living room. The bathroom door swung open, and the makeup artist poked her head in. "There you are. Harvey's looking for you, and he's got that vein popping in his forehead." Zara groaned. Harvey Dunham, her boss and the executive producer of Global Spotlight, was known for two things: his award-winning news programs and his legendary temper. "Tell him I'll be right there," Zara said, checking her teeth one last time for lipstick smudges. She hurried down the hallway, passing walls lined with framed awards and photos of famous interviews from the show's 30-year history. Would her photo with Jungkook end up there too? Harvey was pacing near the set, clipboard in hand. At 53, he looked like he'd been born wearing a dress shirt and tie. "There she is, our rising star." Harvey's smile didn't reach his eyes. 7 minutes later. "Cutting it close, aren't we, Smith?" "Sorry, just reviewing my notes," Zara lied, patting the folder she carried. Harvey took her by the elbow, steering her toward a quiet corner. "Listen to me very carefully. This interview isn't just big for you. It's huge for the network. Our ratings have been slipping, and we need this to be spectacular." "I know, Harvey. I've prepared." "Let me finish," he cut her off. Jungkook agreed to this interview because he has something new to announce, something big. "But he specifically requested you." Zara blinked in surprise. "Me? Why?" "Apparently, he saw that piece you did on the Silicon Valley startup scandal. He liked your direct approach." Harvey made air quotes with his fingers. "But that's also what worries me." Zara crossed her arms. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," Harvey said, lowering his voice, "that your famous sarcasm might work when you're grilling corrupt CEOs or exposing frauds. But Jungkook is different. He's unpredictable, powerful, and frankly, we need him more than he needs us." "So you want me to throw him softballs?" Zara frowned. That wasn't her style, and Harvey knew it. "I want you to be smart, respectful. Save the zingers for another day." Harvey checked his watch. 18 minutes until we're live. The pre-interview meet and greet is in 5. Don't be late for that." As Harvey walked away, Zara felt a flash of annoyance. She hadn't gotten this far by playing it safe. Her questions were tough but fair, and her slight edge of sarcasm made her relatable to viewers. That was her brand. Taking a deep breath, she headed to the green room where Jungkook would be waiting. 2 security guards stood outside the door, earpieces in place. One of them nodded and opened the door for her. Jungkook sat on a leather couch, scrolling through his phone. He looked up when Zara entered, a slight smile forming on his face. "Miss Smith," he said, standing to shake her hand. "I've been looking forward to this." "Likewise, Mr. Jungkook," Zara replied, surprised by his firm grip and direct eye contact. "Thank you for choosing our show for your announcement. Your reputation precedes you," he said. "You don't waste time with nonsense questions." Zara felt a little burst of pride. I try to get to the heart of things. Good. Jungkook nodded. Because what I'm sharing today will change everything. There was something in his eyes as he said it, a certainty that made Zara both curious and slightly uneasy. A production assistant knocked on the door. 5 minutes, Miss Smith, Mr. Jungkook. Back on set. Zara settled into her chair as the crew made final adjustments to lights and cameras. Across from her, Jungkook sat calmly, not a hint of pre-interview jitters. Nervous? He asked, noticing her tapping foot. Just excited, Zara replied with more confidence than she felt. The floor director started the countdown. We're live in 10, 9, 8. Zara straightened her shoulders and took a deep breath. 3, 2. The director pointed silently as the red light on camera 1 lit up. Good evening, America. I'm Zara Smith, and this is Global Spotlight. The words flowed naturally as she'd practiced countless times. Tonight we have a very special guest. Entertainer, innovator, and CEO of both StarCraft Records and Luna Productions, Jungkook. The key camera panned to show both of them. Mr. Jungkook, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for having me, Zara. His voice was calm, measured. You've requested this interview to make an announcement. Something you've called game-changing technology. Our viewers are certainly intrigued. Jungkook leaned forward slightly. Yes, what I'm about to share has been in development for 6 years in secret facilities around the world. Zara felt a tingle of excitement. This was it, the moment that could make her career. Tonight, Jungkook continued, I'm announcing a technology that will solve one of humanity's greatest challenges. The studio lights seemed to brighten, the cameras zoomed in, and Zara Smith, with millions of eyes watching, had no idea that in just a few minutes, everything would change. So, Mr. Jungkook, Zara began, leaning forward slightly. You've been known to make bold predictions before. What makes this announcement different? Jungkook smiled, relaxed in his chair as if they were just having coffee instead of a conversation broadcast to millions. Fair question, he replied. Unlike previous projects that built on existing technology, what I'm revealing tonight is completely new, something that will transform how we power our world. Zara nodded, following her prepared questions. Your companies have already made significant advances in immersive entertainment and experiential tech. Are we talking about an extension of that work? Not exactly. Jungkook's eyes lit up with excitement. This goes beyond anything currently in use. We're calling it quantum energy integration, or QEI. From the corner of her eye, Zara could see Harvey behind camera 2 giving her a thumbs up. This was good. Exclusive. Viewers would be eating it up. Quantum energy integration, Zara repeated. That sounds impressive. But what does it actually mean for everyday people? Imagine a world where energy scarcity no longer exists, Jungkook said, his voice taking on a passionate edge, where a device the size of a microwave could power an entire neighborhood, where remote villages have the same energy access as New York City, where pollution from energy production is eliminated entirely. Zara raised an eyebrow. That sounds almost too good to be true. But it isn't, Jungkook countered. We've been testing prototypes for 18 months. The results have exceeded even our most optimistic projections. And how exactly does this technology work? Zara pressed, getting to the technical question viewers would want answered. Jungkook took a deep breath. At its core, QEI harnesses quantum fluctuations at the zero-point field level. By creating a resonance cascade in a controlled vacuum chamber, we can extract energy from what physicists call the quantum foam, the foundation of reality itself. Zara blinked. This wasn't what she expected. It sounded like science fiction. Are you saying you found a way to pull energy from empty space? She asked, unable to keep the skepticism from her voice. Not empty space, Jungkook corrected. Space is never truly empty. At the quantum level, it's a bubbling sea of virtual particles popping in and out of existence. We've developed a method to harvest that activity and convert it to usable electricity. Something flickered in Zara's mind, a memory from her college physics course. What Jungkook was describing violated several laws of thermodynamics, didn't it? Mr. Jungkook, she said carefully. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't this be essentially creating energy from nothing? That contradicts fundamental physics. It appears that way from our classical understanding. Jungkook nodded. But quantum mechanics has always challenged our intuitions. We're not creating energy. We're accessing an existing source that's been there all along, just beyond our reach. Zara felt a strange mix of emotions. Curiosity, disbelief, and a growing sense that something was off. This sounded like the kinds of claims made by those free energy inventors she debunked in previous stories. When can the public expect to see this technology in action? She asked, moving to her next question. We've already begun limited production. The first units will be deployed in developing nations within 6 months, focusing on areas without existing power infrastructure. Zara glanced at her notes, then back at Jungkook. His expression was earnest, confident, either the look of a visionary or a very convincing salesman. And what about safety concerns? She continued. Pulling energy from the quantum foam, as you call it, has this been thoroughly tested? Are there any risks we should know about? Excellent question, Jungkook said, nodding approvingly. Safety has been our primary concern from day one. We've conducted over 2,000 hours of continuous operation tests in various environments. The technology is completely radiation-free, produces no waste, and has multiple fail-safes built in. As Jungkook continued explaining the safety protocols, Zara felt something shift inside her. A bubble of disbelief rose up, followed by a flash of the sharp wit that had made her famous among viewers. So, to be clear, she interrupted, you're telling me your company has solved the world's energy crisis by essentially plugging into an invisible force that physics says can't be harnessed this way? Jungkook paused, studying her face. I understand your skepticism. It does sound impossible. It sounds like science fiction, Zara said. And then it happened. She laughed. It wasn't a big laugh, just a short, sharp sound that escaped before she could stop it. But in the silent studio, with the cameras rolling and microphones capturing every sound, it seemed to echo. Mr. Jungkook, she said, unable to pull back now. With all due respect, that sounds like science fiction. Are you trying to sell us on fantasy technology again? The moment the words left her mouth, Zara knew she'd made a mistake. She could practically feel Harvey's glare burning into her back. In her earpiece, the producer gasped. But it was Jungkook's reaction that surprised her most. He didn't get angry. He didn't look offended. Instead, a small smile played at the corners of his mouth, and his eyes held something that looked almost like pity. The studio fell into uncomfortable silence. Even the camera operators seemed to be holding their breath. Ms. Smith, Jungkook finally said, his voice quiet but clear, I'd like to invite you to see it for yourself, tomorrow, live on your show. Zara blinked, thrown off balance by the unexpected response. That would be, she stammered. Unless you're afraid of being proven wrong, Jungkook added, the challenge gentle but unmistakable. The cameras were still rolling. Millions were still watching. Zara felt trapped between her journalistic skepticism and the corner she'd backed herself into. Not at all, she managed, professional training kicking in to save her. Global Spotlight would be happy to follow up on this story. Excellent, Jungkook said with a nod. My team will send the coordinates. Shall we say same time tomorrow? Your viewers deserve to see the truth for themselves. Don't you think? Of course, Zara agreed, her mouth suddenly dry. As she turned to the camera to wrap up the segment, Zara maintained her professional smile, but inside, panic was setting in. Had she just ruined her career? Worse, had she walked right into some kind of trap? That's all the time we have tonight, she said to the camera. This has been Global Spotlight with our special guest Jungkook. Join us tomorrow for an exclusive follow-up to tonight's breaking news. I'm Zara Smith. Good night. The red light on camera 1 blinked off. And we're clear, called the floor director. Zara turned to apologize to Jungkook, but he was already standing, straightening his jacket. "See you tomorrow, Miss Smith," he said with a small nod. Then he walked off the set. As Jungkook disappeared through the studio door, Zara saw Harvey storming toward her, his face a thundercloud. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" he hissed, low enough that only she could hear. Looking at her boss's furious expression, Zara Smith finally understood exactly how much she might have to regret. "My office. Now," Harvey growled, turning on his heel. Zara followed him through the busy studio. She noticed how people suddenly found reasons to look away when she passed. The usual post-show congratulations were noticeably absent. Harvey slammed his office door behind them. "What part of respectful did you not understand?" He paced behind his desk, too angry to sit down. "You laughed at Jungkook on live television. I know. Do you have any idea how many advertisers we could lose over this?" Harvey ran his hands through his thinning hair. "The man has 90 million followers. It just slipped out," Zara said, sinking into a chair. What he was saying, it didn't make scientific sense. "Since when are you a quantum physicist?" Harvey demanded. "Your job was to interview him, not judge him." Zara's phone buzzed in her pocket. Then again, and again. She ignored it. "Look," she said, trying to sound calmer than she felt. "Maybe this is salvageable. He invited me to see the technology tomorrow. If it's legitimate, I can apologize on air. If it's not, you still apologize," Harvey cut in. "Jungkook is taking time out of his schedule to prove something he shouldn't have to prove. Do you know how lucky we are that he didn't walk off set?" The phone in her pocket wouldn't stop buzzing. Zara pulled it out to silence it, then froze when she saw the screen. 57 new notifications. "What is it?" Harvey asked, noticing her expression. "I'm trending." Zara scrolled through the notifications. Twitter, Instagram, news alerts, all mentioning her name. Harvey grabbed his tablet and tapped the screen a few times. His face grew even darker. Zara laughed. "Is the #1 trending topic worldwide," he said grimly. "They're already making memes." He turned the tablet to show her. Someone had taken a screenshot of her mid-laugh, added bold text that read, "When someone says they have homework done," and it already had thousands of shares. "Oh no," Zara whispered. "Oh yes," Harvey replied. "You'd better hope Jungkook really does have a magic energy box, or your career at this network is finished. Go home. Prepare for tomorrow." And Zara, his voice softened just slightly, "Don't read the comments. Nothing good ever comes from reading the comments." The drive to her apartment was a blur. Once home, Zara kicked off her shoes and sank onto her couch, finally daring to look at her phone again. Her social media mentions had exploded. Most were brutal. "Imagine being so arrogant you laugh at the guy who revolutionized global pop culture. This is why nobody trusts journalists anymore. Zero respect. Did Zara Smith just commit career suicide on national TV? Yes, she did." There were a few supportive comments too, mostly from science accounts. Good for Zara Smith for questioning unlikely claims instead of just nodding along. But they were drowned out by the wave of criticism. Zara's phone rang. It was her mother. "Hi, Mom," she answered, trying to sound normal. "Beta, are you okay? We saw the show." Her mother's voice was warm with concern. "I'm fine," Zara lied. "Just a little professional disagreement. Your father says not to worry. He says sometimes people don't understand new ideas right away." Zara smiled despite herself. Dad, always the optimist. "Thanks, Mom. I should go. Big day tomorrow." After hanging up, Zara opened her laptop. Against Harvey's advice, she searched her own name. Clips of her laugh were everywhere. News sites had headlines like, "Reporter challenges Jungkook, gets more than she bargained for," and "Is Zara Smith's career over? Experts say yes." Even worse were the YouTube compilations already appearing. "Reporters who destroyed their careers on live TV Zara Smith edition." Zara slammed her laptop shut and walked to her kitchen. She opened a bottle of wine with shaking hands and poured a generous glass. What if Jungkook was right? What if she had just laughed at the most important technological breakthrough of the century? Or what if he was wrong? but used his vast resources to make her look even worse tomorrow. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Zara almost ignored it, but curiosity won out. The message contained only GPS coordinates, a time, and the initials JK. Zara set down her wine glass. So it was really happening. Tomorrow, she would either witness something incredible or confirm her suspicions. And either way, she'd have to face it all on camera again. She walked to her bedroom window and stared out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, millions of people were laughing at her, judging her. Her whole career, everything she'd worked for, hung in the balance. Zara closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She'd always prided herself on asking tough questions, on not accepting answers at face value. If Jungkook was selling snake oil, someone needed to say so. But what if he wasn't? She turned away from the window, suddenly determined. If Jungkook was showing his technology tomorrow, she needed to be prepared. She spent the next 3 hours researching quantum physics, zero-point energy, and everything she could find about Jungkook's previous projects. As midnight approached, exhaustion finally won out. Zara fell asleep on her couch, her laptop still open beside her, displaying a scientific paper titled Theoretical Applications of Quantum Vacuum Fluctuations in Energy Production. Her dreams were filled with strange machines, swirling energy, and the sound of laughter that followed her everywhere she went. Zara woke with a start at 6:17 a.m., her neck stiff from sleeping on the couch. For one blissful moment, she forgot everything that had happened. Then reality crashed back in. Today was the day. She would either redeem herself or cement her status as a journalistic failure. She showered quickly and dressed in her most professional outfit, a navy blue pants suit that made her feel armored. As she applied her makeup, she practiced what she might say if Jungkook's technology turned out to be legitimate. I want to sincerely apologize for my skepticism yesterday. No, that sounded weak. Science teaches us to question everything, but also to accept evidence when it's presented. Better, but still not quite right. Her phone rang. Harvey, you up? He asked without greeting. Since dawn, Zara replied. Good. There's been a change of plans. Jungkook's people called. They're sending a car for you. What? When? Now. They just pulled up outside your building. Zara rushed to her window and looked down. A sleek black Tesla with tinted windows was indeed parked at the curb. What about the camera crew? The follow-up broadcast? She asked. They'll meet you there. And Zara, Harvey's voice grew serious. Whatever happens today, stay professional. Our entire network is watching. Jungkook is watching. The whole damn internet is watching. No pressure, Zara muttered after hanging up. She grabbed her bag, took one last look in the mirror, and headed downstairs. The car door opened as she approached. Inside sat a man in his early 30s with a friendly face and a neatly trimmed beard. Ms. Smith? I'm Rico, he smiled, offering his hand. Mr. Jungkook sent me to bring you to the demonstration site. Zara shook his hand, slightly surprised by the warm welcome. I wasn't expecting a chauffeur. I'm actually head of security for the QI project, Rico explained as they pulled away from the curb. But Mr. Jungkook thought you might have questions during the drive. It's about 2 hours from here. 2 hours. Zara checked the coordinates on her phone again. They were heading into desert territory east of the city. Is this demonstration just for me? Or will there be others? She asked. Rico glanced in the rearview mirror. See for yourself. Zara turned and noticed several vehicles following them, news vans from competing networks. Mr. Jungkook invited all major outlets, Rico explained. He wants as many witnesses as possible. That was either very confident or very calculated, Zara thought. Maybe both. They drove in silence for a while, the city gradually giving way to sparse suburbs, then to open desert. The convoy of media vehicles maintained a respectful distance behind them. You know, Rico said after about an hour, when I first joined the project, I reacted just like you did. You laughed. Zara asked, embarrassment creeping back. I did worse. I told Mr. Jungkook to his face that it was impossible. Rico chuckled at the memory. I have a background in physics. Everything I'd learned said what they were attempting couldn't work. Zara leaned forward, interested. What changed your mind? They showed me. Rico's expression grew serious. Ms. Smith, I've worked for Mr. Jungkook for 7 years. I have seen things that would change how you see the world. Something in his tone made Zara shiver slightly. Like what? Rico smiled mysteriously. That's not for me to share. But today you'll see one of those things for yourself. The landscape outside became increasingly barren. Just sand, rock, and occasional scrubby vegetation. The road narrowed to 2 lanes, then eventually turned to gravel. We're almost there, Rico said, pointing to a shape in the distance. At first, Zara thought it was just another rock formation. But as they got closer, she realized it was a large warehouse-like structure standing alone in the desert. Unlike the surrounding landscape, it looked new and well-maintained, with a small parking area already filling with the vehicles that had been following them. This is it? Zara asked, surprised by how ordinary it appeared. This is it, Rico confirmed. What were you expecting? I don't know. Something more high-tech looking. Rico laughed. Mr. Jungkook prefers functionality over flash. It's what's inside that matters. As they parked, Zara spotted Global Network's van. Mark, her regular cameraman, was already setting up equipment alongside a small production team. Other networks were doing the same, creating a small media village in the middle of nowhere. Your crew arrived by helicopter about 20 minutes ago, Rico explained. Mr. Jungkook wanted to make sure they had time to set up properly. Zara stepped out of the car, the dry desert heat hitting her immediately. Security personnel in plainclothes stood at strategic points around the building. Near the entrance, a small group of people in business attire and lab coats waited. That's Dr. Chun and the core team, Rico said, following her gaze. They're the ones who actually built the technology. Zara took a deep breath, smoothing her jacket. This was it. The moment that would define her career one way or another. Ms. Smith, Mark called, jogging over to her. You're trending again. Zara's heart sank. More memes. No. Mark grinned, showing her his phone. What will Zara find? Is the top hashtag this morning. Everyone's waiting to see what happens. He lowered his voice. Between you and me, I hope you get to prove the skeptics wrong. That would make for amazing television. Zara managed a weak smile. At least someone was rooting for her. Mr. Jungkook is already inside, Rico said. He asked me to bring you in when you're ready. Zara looked at the warehouse, then at the growing crowd of reporters and camera crews. Whatever was about to happen would unfold in front of all her industry peers and competitors. I'm ready, she said, hoping she sounded more confident than she felt. As Rico led her toward the entrance, Zara noticed something strange. Despite the number of vehicles and people gathered, the air around the warehouse was completely silent. No hum of generators, no mechanical sounds at all. It was only when they reached the door that she realized what this might mean. The building wasn't just for show. It was already running on Jungkook's mysterious power source. Rico opened the door, and Zara stepped into a large open space that resembled a hangar more than a laboratory. The interior was well-lit and air-conditioned, comfortably cool compared to the desert heat outside. Camera crews and reporters from various networks were already setting up in a semicircle around what appeared to be the main attraction. In the center of the room sat a simple metal cube, about the size of a mini-fridge. It was silver, with no visible buttons, screens, or wires. If Zara hadn't known better, she might have mistaken it for a modern art installation. Standing beside the cube was Jungkook himself, dressed casually in a black t-shirt and jeans, talking quietly with a woman in a lab coat. He looked up as Zara entered and, to her surprise, smiled warmly. "Ms. Smith," he called, walking over to greet her. "Thank you for coming. I hope the drive wasn't too uncomfortable." Zara straightened her shoulders, determined to remain professional. "Not at all, Mr. Jungkook. Thank you for the invitation." She waited for some hint of yesterday's tension. A sarcastic comment, perhaps, or a cold glare. But Jungkook's expression remained friendly and open. "I'd like you to meet Dr. Ilana Chan," he said, gesturing to the woman in the lab coat who had followed him. "She's the brilliant mind who made QEI possible." Dr. Chun was shorter than Zara, with intelligent eyes behind stylish glasses. "It's nice to meet you, Miss Smith," she said, shaking Zara's hand. "I'm a fan of your reporting, actually. Your series on tech industry ethics was excellent." Zara blinked, caught off guard by the compliment. "Thank you. So you're the lead scientist on this project?" "One of many," Dr. Chan said modestly. "But I've been with it from the beginning." "We'll be starting in about 10 minutes, Jungkook said, checking his watch. "Feel free to look around, but please don't touch the equipment yet." As he walked away to greet other arriving reporters, Zara turned to Rico. "This is not what I expected." Rico raised an eyebrow. "What did you expect?" "I don't know. More security? More tension," Zara admitted. "After yesterday, I thought Mr. Jungkook would be angry." "That's not really his style," Rico finished for her. "He cares more about the work than about ego." Zara wasn't entirely convinced, but she nodded anyway. She watched as Mark and her production team set up their equipment near the front of the semicircle. "Miss Smith," Mark called, waving her over. "We're ready when you are. Harvey says we're going live in 7 minutes." Zara checked her appearance quickly in the camera's monitor, then took her position. She could see other familiar faces from competing networks doing the same. Trent Williams from World News, Sofia Rodriguez from American Morning. Everyone who had laughed at her online yesterday was now here, waiting to see what would happen. At precisely 10:01 a.m., Jungkook stepped into the center of the room, standing next to the silver cube. The chatter died down immediately. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "Yesterday on Global Spotlight, I announced our new quantum energy integration technology. Today, I'd like to show you what it can do." Camera lights flickered on around the room. Zara could feel the red light of her own camera staring at her like an unblinking eye. "Before we begin," Jungkook continued, "I want to be clear that what you're about to see is still in development. The commercial version will be more refined, more efficient, and considerably smaller." He gestured to the silver cube. "This is our 7th-generation prototype. It contains a vacuum chamber where quantum fluctuations are amplified and harvested. The process is completely clean, safe, and sustainable." Dr. Chen stepped forward, holding what looked like an ordinary household light bulb. "We'll start with something simple," she said. She screwed the bulb into a socket attached to a small stand with no visible power source, then placed the stand about 3 feet away from the cube. Nothing happened. Zara felt a mixture of vindication and disappointment. Had she been right all along? But then Dr. Chen pressed her palm against a smooth panel on the cube's surface. The panel glowed blue briefly and the light bulb flickered to life. "The QI unit is now activated," Jungkook explained. "It's creating a field that extends approximately 10 meters in all directions. Any compatible device within that field can draw power wirelessly." Murmurs rippled through the assembled reporters. Zara leaned forward, watching closely for any hidden wires or tricks. Dr. Chen brought out more devices, a fan, a small television, a laptop computer. One by one, she placed them at various distances from the cube, and one by one, they turned on without being plugged into anything. "As you can see," Jungkook said, "the devices don't need to be specially modified. The QI creates a field that mimics standard electrical current." Zara raised her hand and Jungkook nodded to her. "Mr. Jungkook," she said, "this is impressive, but couldn't this be achieved with existing wireless charging technology? How do we know this isn't just an elaborate battery system?" Instead of being offended, Jungkook smiled. "Excellent question, Miss Smith. That's exactly what I'd ask in your position." He turned to Dr. Chen. "Shall we move to phase 2? For the next 20 minutes, Jungkook and Dr. Chen demonstrated increasingly demanding power applications. They brought out electric heaters, power tools, and even a small electric car motor, all running simultaneously from the same power source. "The current prototype can generate up to 50 kilowatts continuously," Dr. Chen explained. "Enough to power a small neighborhood." A reporter from Tech Today raised his hand. "How long can it maintain this output?" "Indefinitely," Jungkook replied simply. "It doesn't consume fuel in the traditional sense." This prompted a flurry of questions from the assembled journalists, all shouting at once. Jungkook held up his hands for quiet. I understand your skepticism. That's why we've invited independent experts to examine the device. From the back of the room, 3 people stepped forward. Jungkook introduced them as professors of physics and electrical engineering from MIT, Stanford, and Cambridge, scientists with impeccable credentials. For the next hour, these experts conducted various tests on the cube. They brought out their own equipment, checked for hidden power sources, and even asked for the cube to be moved to different locations within the building. Zara watched, her journalistic skepticism battling with the evidence before her eyes. The experts seemed genuinely amazed, conferring with each other in surprised whispers. Finally, the lead expert, Dr. James Morrison from MIT, addressed the room. We can detect no conventional power source or battery system capable of producing this output. Whatever this technology is, it operates on principles that appear to be novel to our current understanding of physics. A hush fell over the room. Zara felt a strange sensation in her stomach, part excitement, part fear. If this was real, it was the biggest story of her career. Of anyone's career? There's one more thing I'd like to show you, Jungkook said, turning specifically to Zara. This building has no external power lines, no generators, no solar panels. It's been running exclusively on a larger version of this technology for the past 6 months. He gestured to a door at the back of the room. This facility has full climate control, security systems, and a staff of 20 working in shifts around the clock, all powered by a single QI unit not much larger than this one. Zara found her voice. May we see it? Of course, Jungkook replied. But first, let me ask you something, Miss Smith. His voice wasn't accusatory or triumphant. If anything, it sounded genuinely curious. Having seen this demonstration, what are your thoughts now? All eyes turned to Zara. Camera lenses adjusted to focus on her face. In that moment, she knew whatever she said next would be replayed on news channels and social media for days to come. She took a deep breath. Mr. Jungkook, I'm amazed. If what we're seeing is genuine and the expert testimony suggests it is, then this technology could indeed change the world. Jungkook nodded, seemingly satisfied with her answer. Would you like to be the first reporter to see where this technology came from? The real story behind it? Zara felt a tingle of journalistic excitement, the kind she hadn't felt since her early days as a reporter. Yes, she said without hesitation. I would. Jungkook turned to address the other journalists. The demonstration will continue here for anyone who wants to run additional tests or film more footage. Meanwhile, I'd like to invite Miss Smith to see our primary research facility. He looked back at Zara, his expression unreadable. That is, if you're willing to go a bit further down the rabbit hole. Zara glanced at Mark, who gave her an enthusiastic thumbs up behind his camera. This was the exclusive every journalist in the room would kill for. When do we leave? She asked. Jungkook checked his watch. Right now, if that works for you. As they walked toward the exit, Zara felt a mixture of emotions, vindication that the technology appeared to be real, embarrassment over her skepticism, and growing excitement about what might come next. What she didn't yet realize was that she was about to see something far stranger than a box that produced free energy. We'll take the helicopter, Jungkook said, leading Zara through a back door of the warehouse. It's faster than driving. Outside, a sleek black helicopter waited on a small landing pad, its rotors already spinning, kicking up swirls of desert dust. What about my camera crew? Zara asked, raising her voice over the noise. This part is off camera, Jungkook replied. But you can record audio if you want. Your network already agreed to the terms. Zara hesitated. Going without a camera crew meant no visual evidence of whatever Jungkook was about to show her. But refusing meant losing the biggest exclusive of her career. Don't worry, Jungkook added, seeming to sense her concern. You'll be back in time for your evening broadcast. And you'll have plenty to tell your viewers. Zara made her decision. Let's go. The helicopter lifted off smoothly, rising above the warehouse and the cluster of media vehicles. From above, the demonstration site looked tiny against the vast desert landscape. Where exactly are we going? Zara asked through the headset Jungkook had given her. About 200 miles north, he replied. We call it Facility 7. There are 6 others? Jungkook nodded. Spread across different continents. This one focuses primarily on energy applications. As the helicopter flew higher, Zara pulled out her recorder. Do you mind if I ask some questions during the flight? Not at all, Jungkook settled back in his seat, looking surprisingly relaxed for a man who had just revealed revolutionary technology to the world. The energy device we saw today, Zara began, could it really end energy poverty worldwide? Absolutely, Jungkook replied without hesitation. Think about what energy access means: clean water, better healthcare, education, economic opportunity. 2 billion people still lack reliable electricity. QI could change that within a decade. And the environmental impact? Zero emissions. Zero radiation. Zero waste. Jungkook's eyes lit up with genuine passion. It could be the key to reversing climate change. We could shut down every coal and gas plant on the planet. Why keep it secret until now? Jungkook's expression grew more serious. New technologies need protection, especially in their early stages. Throughout history, breakthrough innovations have been weaponized before their beneficial potential could be realized. We wanted QEI to be too public, too widely known, to be controlled by any single government or corporation. Zara nodded, understanding his logic. Including yours? Including mine, Jungkook confirmed. The patents will be open source. We'll license the manufacturing technology, but the core principles will belong to humanity. For the next hour, Zara continued her interview as the desert landscape passed beneath them. Jungkook answered each question thoughtfully, explaining his vision for a world transformed by unlimited clean energy. Eventually, the helicopter began to descend toward a mountain range. Zara couldn't see any buildings or roads, just rugged terrain stretching in all directions. "Where's the facility?" she asked, looking out the window. "You're looking at it," Jungkook replied. As they got closer, Zara realized what he meant. Built into the side of the largest mountain was what looked like a massive hangar door, partially camouflaged to blend with the natural rock. The helicopter touched down on a landing pad that emerged from the mountainside. As they exited, the pad began to retract, carrying the helicopter inside the mountain itself. "Welcome to Facility 7, Jungkook said as a set of massive doors slid open before them. Zara stepped inside and gasped. The mountain was hollow, or rather had been hollowed out to create an enormous multi-level research complex. She could see at least 5 floors below them and several more above, with researchers in white lab coats moving between workstations filled with equipment she didn't recognize. "How many people work here?" she asked, trying to take it all in. "About 300 at the site," Jungkook answered. "Scientists, engineers, security personnel. And no one's ever leaked information about this place?" "Everyone here understands what's at stake," Jungkook said simply. "They're not just employees, they're mission partners." They took a glass elevator down to the main research floor. As the doors opened, Zara heard dozens of different languages being spoken, teams of researchers from around the world working side by side. "I'd like you to meet the person who made all this possible," Jungkook said, guiding her toward a central laboratory area. Inside, a woman in her 50s was studying complex holographic displays floating in the air. She had silver-streaked dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail and moved with the confident precision of someone who had spent decades in laboratories. "Dr. Chen," Jungkook called out. The woman turned and Zara realized this was another Dr. Chen, older than the one she'd met at the demonstration. "Dr. Alana Chen is our public-facing scientist," Jungkook explained. "This is her mother, Dr. Mei Chen. She's been the true pioneer of quantum energy technology." Dr. Mei Chen smiled warmly at Zara. "Miss Smith, I've looked forward to meeting you." Dr. Chen developed the theoretical framework for QI 15 years ago, Jungkook continued, when every other physicist said it was impossible. "Not impossible," Dr. Chen corrected gently. "Just beyond our understanding at the time." She gestured to the displays around her. "Would you like me to explain how it works? In simpler terms than Mr. Jungkook used on your show?" Zara nodded eagerly, switching on her recorder again. For the next 20 minutes, Dr. Chen walked her through the principles of quantum energy extraction using analogies that made the complex science surprisingly accessible. She explained how particles at the quantum level constantly flicker in and out of existence, carrying energy that until now had been impossible to capture. "Imagine the quantum field as an ocean," Dr. Chen said. "Traditionally, we've built power plants that are like water wheels in a river. They can only capture energy that's already flowing. QI is more like finding a way to tap into the ocean itself." "And there's no limit to how much energy you can extract?" Zara asked. "The theoretical limit is so high, it might as well be infinite for our purposes," Dr. Chen replied. As they toured more of the facility, Zara saw applications of the technology she couldn't have imagined: medical devices, transportation systems, even experimental food production methods. Each innovation built upon the fundamental breakthrough of quantum energy extraction. But as they rounded a corner into a new section of the facility, Zara noticed something odd. The equipment here looked different, more alien somehow. The materials had a subtle iridescence she'd never seen before, and the design principles seemed to follow a logic that felt strangely non-human. When she asked about it, both Jungkook and Dr. Chin exchanged a quick glance before Dr. Chin answered. This section focuses on theoretical applications of quantum field manipulation beyond energy production, she said smoothly. Some of the designs may look unusual because they operate on principles that aren't intuitively obvious to human perception. Human perception, something about the phrasing struck Zara as odd, but before she could ask a follow-up question, Jungkook directed her attention to something else. As they continued the tour, Zara spotted a young researcher watching her intently from across the room. When their eyes met, he quickly looked away and disappeared through a side door. "I need to use the restroom," Zara said suddenly. "Of course," Dr. Chin replied. "Down the hall to your left. We'll wait for you here." Instead of turning left, Zara made a quick right as soon as she was out of sight, following in the direction where the young researcher had gone. She found herself in a corridor leading to what appeared to be a cafeteria area. And there, sitting alone at a corner table, was the researcher who had been watching her. He was younger than most of the scientists she'd seen, probably in his early 30s, with nervous energy evident in his fidgeting hands. When he saw Zara approaching, his eyes widened, but he didn't leave. "Hi," Zara said, sliding into the seat across from him. "I'm Zara Smith." "I know who you are," he replied quietly. "I'm Marcus Navarro, quantum field specialist." He glanced around the cafeteria, which was mostly empty except for a few researchers engrossed in their own conversations. "You shouldn't be talking to me alone, Miss Smith. They're probably already looking for you." "Then let's make this quick," Zara said, leaning forward. "You were watching me earlier." "Why?" Marcus took a deep breath. "Because you're the first journalist they've brought here in over a year. The last one never published a story." A chill ran down Zara's spine. "What happened to him?" "Nothing sinister," Marcus said quickly. "He agreed not to publish after they showed him everything. Said the world wasn't ready." He lowered his voice even further. "But I think the world needs to know the whole truth. Not just the parts Mr. Jungkook wants to reveal." "What parts is he hiding?" Zara asked, her reporter instincts fully alert now. Marcus pushed a small object across the table, a sleek metallic rectangle that looked like a thumb drive. "I can't tell you here. Check your phone later. The password is Prometheus. Before Zara could ask anything else, Marcus straightened suddenly, his expression shifting to casual indifference. Zara turned to see Rico approaching their table. "There you are, Miss Smith," Rico said, his tone friendly but his eyes sharp. "Mr. Jungkook and Dr. Chin are waiting to continue the tour." "Sorry," Zara said, standing up. "I got a little lost and stopped to ask for directions." She nodded to Marcus, who gave her a small, almost imperceptible nod in return. "Dr. Navarro is one of our most promising young researchers," Rico said as they walked back, though he sometimes gets caught up in theoretical possibilities rather than practical applications. The way he emphasized the words made Zara wonder if Rico had overheard part of their conversation. When they rejoined Jungkook and Dr. Chin, the tour continued smoothly. Jungkook showed her more applications of the quantum energy technology, including prototypes for home units that would eventually be distributed globally. "We'll start in areas with no existing power infrastructure," Jungkook explained. "Remote villages, disaster zones, refugee camps, places where traditional power grids would take decades to build. The impact on human development will be profound," Dr. Chin added. "Imagine every school, every clinic, every home with unlimited clean energy." It was a compelling vision, and Zara found herself genuinely moved by the potential. Yet, the thumb drive in her pocket felt like it was burning a hole through the fabric. What secrets could be more important than this world-changing technology? As they entered a new section of the facility, Zara noticed the security was noticeably tighter. Guards stood at checkpoints, and everyone's badges were scanned before they could enter. "This is our Advanced Applications Division," Jungkook explained. "The work here goes beyond energy production." Inside, Zara saw equipment even stranger than before. One chamber contained what looked like a sphere of swirling light suspended in midair, with researchers monitoring it from behind thick glass. "What is that?" she asked, unable to hide her amazement. "A sustained quantum field bubble," Dr. Chin explained. "We're testing how quantum fields can be manipulated to affect local space-time properties." "You mean, like gravity?" Zara asked, trying to understand. "Among other things," Jungkook nodded. "The principles that allow us to extract energy from quantum fluctuations can also be applied to other fundamental forces." Zara pointed to another device that resembled a tunnel made of interlocking rings. "And that?" Both Jungkook and Dr. Chin hesitated before Jungkook answered. "That's part of our theoretical transportation research. Still very early stage." "Transportation?" The device didn't look like any vehicle or engine Zara had ever seen. In fact, it reminded her more of something from a science fiction movie, like a portal or gateway. As they continued through the facility, Zara noticed other oddities. Some areas were completely off-limits, marked with warnings in multiple languages. And occasionally, she caught glimpses of materials or components that seemed to glow with an inner light that didn't follow normal rules of illumination. Most strange of all was a heavily guarded section at the far end of the complex. The doors were different there, thicker, more reinforced, with advanced security systems Zara didn't recognize. "What's behind those doors?" she asked. "Storage for sensitive materials," Dr. Chen answered quickly, too quickly. "Must be pretty sensitive," Zara observed. "Those doors look like they could withstand a nuclear blast." "Safety is our primary concern," Jungkook said smoothly. "Some aspects of this technology require extreme containment protocols." By the time they completed the tour, Zara's head was spinning with everything she'd seen. The quantum energy technology alone would have been enough to make this the story of the century. But her instincts told her there was something more, something connected to the strange equipment, the excessive security, and whatever information Marcus had given her. "What do you think so far?" Jungkook asked as they headed back toward the entrance. "It's incredible," Zara answered honestly. "The energy technology alone could transform the world." "But," Jungkook prompted, catching the hesitation in her voice. "But I get the feeling I'm not seeing everything," Zara said, deciding to be direct. "There's more to this facility than just energy research, isn't there?" Jungkook and Dr. Chen exchanged a look before Jungkook replied, "You're very perceptive, Miss Smith." "You're right. Quantum energy is just one application of the principles we've discovered. There are others that require careful consideration before public disclosure. Such as? Transportation is one area, as you've seen," Jungkook said. "Communications is another. The ability to transmit information instantaneously across any distance would revolutionize how we connect with each other." It sounded reasonable, but Zara sensed he was still holding back. "And the materials?" she pressed. "Some of the components I saw don't look like anything manufactured on Earth." Dr. Chen stepped in. "Advanced composites. Some are grown rather than manufactured, using biotechnology combined with quantum field manipulation." Again, the explanation was plausible but didn't quite ring true. As they reached the entrance area, Jungkook checked his watch. "The helicopter is ready to take you back. You'll have plenty of time to prepare for your evening broadcast." "Thank you for the tour," Zara said, extending her hand. "It's been educational." "I hope it's changed your perspective," Jungkook replied, shaking her hand firmly. "More than you know," Zara said. On the helicopter ride back, Zara sat in silence, processing everything she'd seen and heard. The quantum energy technology was real, that much was clear. But there were too many unanswered questions, too many strange details that didn't add up. As soon as they were airborne, she checked her phone, making sure Jungkook couldn't see the screen. There, in her encrypted messages app, was a new conversation from an unknown number. She entered the password Marcus had given her, Prometheus. The screen unlocked to reveal dozens of files, photographs, documents, and videos. The first image made her breath catch in her throat. It showed what appeared to be a massive, partially damaged object being recovered from the ocean floor. The object was clearly not a ship or submarine. Its design was like nothing Zara had ever seen before. The caption below the image read, "South Pacific Recovery Operation. 6 years ago." Zara quickly closed the app as the helicopter began its descent back to the desert facility where her camera crew was waiting. Her mind was racing with implications. If these files were genuine, the story was far bigger than a new energy source. It wasn't just about what Jungkook and his team had created, it was about what they had found. The helicopter landed back at the desert facility where camera crews were still filming the QEI demonstration. Zara's mind was racing as she stepped onto the dusty ground. She spotted Mark waving to her from near the global spotlight van. "There you are," he called out. "Everyone's been asking where you went." "How was it?" "Mind-blowing," Zara replied honestly. "I need to prepare for the broadcast. Can we set up somewhere quiet?" Mark led her to a makeshift production area they'd set up inside the warehouse. "Harvey's called 3 times. He wants a preview of what you're going to say." "Tell him I'm still processing everything," Zara said, which wasn't a lie. "I'll be ready by broadcast time." Once alone, Zara found a quiet corner and pulled out her phone again. She had only about 40 minutes before she needed to be on camera, but she had to know more. She reopened the encrypted files Marcus had sent. Beyond the first shocking image of the underwater recovery, there were documents, technical reports, analysis papers, and what appeared to be translations of something. The language in the original documents didn't look like any Zara recognized. One file stood out, a video marked, Eyes Only, First Contact Protocol. Zara hesitated before playing it. The title alone sent chills down her spine. She put in her earbuds and tapped play. The video showed a sterile laboratory room. In the center was what appeared to be a section of the object from the underwater recovery photo, a piece of metallic material with the same strange iridescent quality she'd noticed in some of the equipment at Facility 7. A team of people in protective suits were examining it, taking readings with specialized equipment. Suddenly, the material began to glow, pulsing with an inner light that shifted through colors Zara couldn't even name. One of the researchers moved forward, reaching toward the object. The video abruptly cut to static, then resumed, showing the same room but in disarray, as if something had happened. The researcher who had touched the object was being examined by medical personnel but appeared unharmed, just disoriented. As the researcher was helped to sit up, he began speaking rapidly. The audio was muffled, but Zara could make out fragments. Showed me the field structure, it's all connected, they've been trying to reach us. The video ended there. Zara stared at her dark phone screen, her heart pounding. What had she just witnessed? She quickly scanned through more documents. They painted a fragmented but startling picture. 6 years ago, something had crashed into the South Pacific. Jungkook's organization had reached the site before any government could secure it. What they found wasn't a meteorite or satellite, it was artificial and clearly not made by human hands. The technology Jungkook was now revealing to the world, the quantum energy integration, was reverse-engineered from what they had discovered. Miss Smith. Zara nearly dropped her phone at the sound of Marcus's voice. He stood in the doorway of the small room, looking nervously over his shoulder. Dr. Navarro, she said, quickly regaining her composure. I didn't expect to see you here. I came on the second helicopter, he explained, stepping inside and closing the door. I had to speak with you before your broadcast. About these files. Zara held up her phone. Are they real? Did Jungkook really find? Yes, Marcus cut her off. But it's more complicated than it appears. He sat down across from her, his expression serious. The crash in the Pacific was just the beginning. The object wasn't a ship in the traditional sense. It was more like a probe. Or a beacon. Sent by whom? Zara asked, barely able to believe she was having this conversation. We don't know exactly, Marcus admitted. But the information encoded in its structure, the quantum principles it demonstrated, has led to every breakthrough we've shown you today. And many more we haven't. Zara's mind whirled with questions. Does the public have a right to know this? That the technology didn't come from Jungkook's team but from somewhere else. That's why I reached out to you, Marcus said. I believe they do have a right to know. But others, including Mr. Jungkook, believe a more gradual approach is necessary. Why? Fear of panic. Fear of how it might be weaponized. And most of all, Marcus paused, seeming to choose his words carefully, fear that we're not meant to have this technology yet. What do you mean? The probe appears to be monitoring our use of the technology. When we first activated the QEI prototype, something responded. We detected signals, quantum fluctuations that couldn't be natural. Zara felt a chill run down her spine. Are you saying whatever sent the probe is watching us? Right now? I believe so, yes, Marcus nodded. And I think Jungkook plans to make contact. Before Zara could ask more, the door opened. Rico stood there, his expression neutral but his posture tense. Dr. Navarro, you're needed back at the facility. Mr. Jungkook is looking for you. Marcus stood up, his face pale. Of course. He turned to Zara. Consider carefully what you report today, Miss Smith. The world deserves the truth. But some truths need to be introduced carefully. As Marcus left with Rico, Zara sat frozen in place. She had 20 minutes before going live to millions of viewers. In her hands was potentially the biggest story in human history, evidence of non-human intelligence, technology beyond our understanding, and a secret that had been kept from the world for 6 years. What should she do? Breaking the story would make her career instantly. It would also potentially cause global panic, interfere with Jungkook's careful plans for the technology, and maybe even alert whoever, or whatever, had sent the probe that their secret was out. Mark poked his head into the room. 5 minutes until we start setting up, Zara. Are you ready? Zara took a deep breath. I need a few more minutes. I'm still deciding exactly what I want to say. As Mark left, Zara stared at her phone. The files from Marcus contained enough evidence to convince most people. But was this her story to tell? And what would be the consequences if she did? The clock was ticking. It was time to make a decision. Zara closed her eyes, trying to clear her mind. The biggest story in human history was literally in her hands, evidence that we weren't alone in the universe and that our newest breakthrough technology came from somewhere beyond Earth. But with great stories came great responsibility. What would happen if she broke this news? Stock markets might crash. Religious institutions might face crises. Governments would scramble for control of the technology. Panic could spread. And what about Jungkook's careful introduction of the quantum energy system? If his plan was disrupted, would the technology still reach those who needed it most? A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. Miss Smith. It was Jungkook himself. May I come in? Zara quickly locked her phone. Of course. Jungkook entered and sat down across from her, his expression unreadable. For a moment, they just looked at each other in silence. Dr. Navarro spoke with you, Jungkook finally said. It wasn't a question. Zara nodded. No point in denying it. And he shared certain files? I assume. Again, Zara nodded. About the South Pacific recovery site. Jungkook rubbed his temples. I knew this would happen eventually. I'm actually surprised it took this long. So it's true? Zara asked. Everything in those files? Yes. And no. Jungkook replied. The basic facts are accurate. We did recover something. Not made by human hands. We did reverse engineer aspects of the quantum technology from it. But the conclusions Marcus has drawn about active monitoring and response. Jungkook shook his head. We don't have enough evidence to confirm that. But you believe it's possible? I believe we need to proceed with caution, Jungkook said carefully. Which brings me to why I'm here. He leaned forward. You're about to go on air and tell the world about our energy technology. The question is, what else will you tell them? Zara met his gaze steadily. I'm a journalist. My job is to report the truth. The truth isn't always simple, Jungkook countered. Sometimes truth needs to be introduced slowly, in stages people can comprehend and accept. Or sometimes powerful people decide what truths others are ready to hear, Zara challenged. Fair point, Jungkook nodded. But consider this. Throughout history, when vastly different technological cultures have met suddenly, the results have rarely been positive for either side. Zara frowned. You think that whatever sent the probe might react badly if they know we've discovered them? I think we don't know enough to take that risk yet, Jungkook replied. And on a more immediate level, I worry about how our own world would react. People fear what they don't understand. So what are you asking me to do? Zara asked directly. I'm not asking you to lie, Jungkook said. The energy technology is real. Its benefits are real. That's a huge story by itself. He paused. I'm asking you to consider the impact of revealing its origin right now, before we fully understand what we're dealing with. Zara watched his face carefully. Are you threatening me? To her surprise, Jungkook laughed softly. No, Miss Smith. I'm appealing to your judgment as a journalist. You have the power here. Not me. That wasn't the response Zara had expected. She had assumed he would try to stop her or at least pressure her with legal threats. What kind of reporter do you want to be? Jungkook asked quietly. One who breaks sensational stories at any cost? Or one who considers the impact of her reporting? The question hit Zara hard. Throughout her career, she had prided herself on uncovering the truth, no matter who it might hurt. But this was different. This wasn't about exposing corporate fraud or political corruption. This was potentially about humanity's first contact with another intelligence. I need to prepare for my broadcast, Zara said finally. Jungkook nodded and stood up. Whatever you decide, I respect your right to make that choice. As he reached the door, he turned back. Just one more thing to consider. The energy technology alone could save millions of lives in the coming years. Is that worth risking for a bigger headline today? After Jungkook left, Zara sat staring at her notebook, her mind racing. The ethical questions were overwhelming. What was her duty as a journalist? What was her responsibility as a human being? She pulled out her phone and looked at Marcus's files one more time. Then she began to write. When Mark came to tell her it was time to go on air, Zara had made her decision. I'll be right there, she said, tucking her notes into her pocket. Her phone, with Marcus's encrypted files, went into her other pocket, a weight that felt both literal and symbolic. Walking back into the main area of the warehouse, Zara was struck by how much had changed since that morning. The demonstration was still ongoing, with technical experts examining the QI device from every angle. News crews from around the world were sending live updates, and Zara herself had transformed from a laughingstock to the journalist with the most coveted exclusive in recent memory. If only they knew what she really had. There she is. Harvey's voice boomed through her earpiece as she approached the global spotlight setup. The woman of the hour. Zara adjusted her microphone, smiling tightly at the camera. Harvey might be in the New York studio, but his excitement traveled clearly across the miles. Everyone's talking about your exclusive tour with Jungkook, Harvey continued. The network's buzzing. The evening broadcast is tracking to be our highest-rated show in years. That's great, Harvey, Zara replied mechanically. Are you okay? You sound distracted. Just processing everything I've learned, she said. It's been a lot to take in. Well, get ready to share it with the world in 5 minutes, Harvey said. This is your moment, Zara. From laughing at Jungkook to getting his biggest exclusive. What a comeback story. As the production team made final adjustments, Zara looked around the room. Jungkook was nowhere to be seen, but Rico stood near the exit, watching her with an unreadable expression. Dr. Chun, the younger one from the morning demonstration, was speaking with a group of scientists. And there, in the back corner, barely noticeable among the crowd, was Marcus. Their eyes met briefly, and he gave her a small nod before turning away. 30 seconds, called the floor director. Stand by. Zara straightened her jacket and took a deep breath. The same red light that had witnessed her career-threatening mistake this morning would now capture whatever she decided to share. In 5, 4, 3. The director counted down silently for the final 2 seconds, then pointed at Zara. Good evening. I'm Zara Smith, reporting live from a remote location in the Nevada desert, where earlier today I witnessed what may be the most significant technological breakthrough of the century. Her voice sounded calm and professional, betraying none of the turmoil inside her mind. 24 hours ago, I sat across from Jungkook as he described a revolutionary energy technology called quantum energy integration. I admit that I responded with skepticism, even laughter. The monitor beside her showed a split screen with footage from yesterday's disastrous interview moment. Today, I've seen that technology demonstrated beyond any reasonable doubt. I've spoken with independent experts who confirm that it functions as claimed. And I've toured a research facility where the potential applications of this technology go far beyond what was initially announced. She paused, aware that millions were hanging on her every word. The path of her report now stood before her like a fork in the road. What I've witnessed today is a technology that could end energy poverty worldwide. A technology that produces zero emissions, zero waste, and requires virtually no resources to operate. A technology that could power everything from a single light bulb to an entire city. Harvey's voice came through her earpiece. Great stuff, Zara. Ask him about the origins of the technology. As if on cue, Jungkook appeared from a side door, walking calmly toward her. The camera panned to include him in the shot. Mr. Jungkook has agreed to join us live, Zara said, gesturing to the empty chair beside her. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the invitation, Jungkook replied, sitting down. The question on everyone's mind is, how did you develop this technology when so many experts said it was impossible? This was it. The moment of decision. Zara could almost feel Marcus's files burning in her pocket. Jungkook smiled slightly. That's a fair question. Like many breakthroughs, it came from looking at old problems from new angles. Dr. Chan and her team approached quantum field theory with fresh perspectives, questioning assumptions that had limited previous research. It was a polished answer that revealed nothing of the truth. Zara felt a momentary flash of anger at Jungkook for his evasion, and at herself for possibly becoming complicit in it. So the technology was developed entirely by your team? She pressed, unable to let it go completely. Something flickered across Jungkook's face. Surprise? Perhaps, or respect for her persistence. Science is always built on what came before, he replied carefully. We stand on the shoulders of giants, as Newton said. Our breakthrough came from connecting dots that others hadn't connected yet. Not a direct lie, but far from the whole truth. Zara saw her career path diverging before her eyes. Break the alien technology story and become instantly famous, or hold back and become part of whatever Jungkook was planning. The red light on the camera stared at her like an unblinking eye. Millions waited for her next question. The implications of this technology are staggering, Zara said, making her choice. Can you share more about how soon people will actually benefit from it? Relief flickered briefly in Jungkook's eyes as he launched into details about implementation timelines and global distribution plans. As the interview continued, Zara asked thorough, probing questions about the energy technology itself. She pressed on safety concerns, accessibility, and the economic impact, all legitimate journalistic inquiries that served the public interest. But she didn't mention the South Pacific recovery. She didn't ask about the probe. She kept the biggest story of all time tucked away in her pocket. When the broadcast ended 30 minutes later, Zara felt both heavy and light, burdened by what she knew, but relieved by her decision to wait. That was incredible, Mark said as the camera light went off. You were tough but fair. Perfect balance. Back in New York, Harvey was ecstatic. Outstanding work, Smith, he crowed through her earpiece. The ratings are through the roof. Be ready for the morning shows tomorrow. Everyone wants to interview the interviewer. As the crew packed up their equipment, Jungkook approached Zara one last time. Thank you, he said simply. Don't thank me yet, Zara replied, her voice low. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the rest of what I know. Jungkook nodded. I understand. When you're ready to discuss it further, let me know. He handed her a card with a private number. The world deserves the whole truth eventually, just not all at once. As Jungkook walked away, Zara stood alone in the bustle of the warehouse. Neither a complete hero nor a complete sellout. Just a reporter with a very, very big story still waiting to be told. We're heading back to the city, Mark called, waving to her. You coming with us or taking the fancy Tesla again? I'll ride with you guys, Zara replied, suddenly craving normal company after the mind-bending day she'd had. The drive back was filled with excited chatter from the production team. Everyone was buzzing about the technology they'd witnessed and speculating about how it would change the world. Zara stayed mostly quiet, watching the desert landscape roll by as the sun began to set. You okay? Mark asked, noticing her silence. You should be celebrating. This is the biggest story of the year, and it's all yours. If only you knew, Zara thought. But she just smiled and said, I'm just tired. It's been an intense couple of days. Back at the network studio, Zara was greeted like a returning champion. Staff members applauded as she walked through the newsroom. Colleagues who had avoided eye contact yesterday now rushed to congratulate her. The comeback queen, someone called out. Harvey emerged from his office, arms spread wide. There she is, 27% market share for the evening broadcast. Our best numbers in 5 years. He pulled Zara into an awkward hug. I've got champagne in my office. The executives are on their way down to toast your success. The next hour passed in a blur of handshakes, congratulations, and champagne flutes. Network executives praised her journalistic instincts and balanced reporting. Some even joked about her initial skepticism, now reframing it as asking the tough questions that needed to be asked. It was surreal. Just 24 hours ago, these same people had been ready to end her career. When she finally escaped to her desk, Zara found it covered with interview requests, speaking engagement offers, and even a book deal proposal. Her phone had hundreds of notifications. Her social media following had exploded. #ZaraRedeemed was now trending worldwide. You've got a live spot on Morning America tomorrow at 7 a.m., Harvey informed her, appearing at her desk. Then CNN at 9, and the network wants a special report for the evening news. We're thinking The Future of Energy as a working title. Zara nodded automatically, still processing everything. You did good today, Smith, Harvey said, his voice softening slightly. You could have gone for sensationalism, tried to make Jungkook look bad to get revenge for yesterday. But you kept it professional, focused on the facts. That's real journalism. If he only knew how much she'd actually held back. But Harvey's approval still felt good, a confirmation that maybe she'd made the right choice. Thanks, Harvey, she said. I need to prep for tomorrow's interviews. Is it okay if I head home? Take my car, Harvey offered, tossing her his keys. Your fan club is waiting outside the main entrance. Security can take you out through the garage. Sure enough, a crowd of reporters and curious onlookers had gathered outside the network building. Zara slipped out unnoticed through the underground parking garage, grateful for Harvey's unexpected thoughtfulness. Alone in her apartment at last, Zara kicked off her shoes and collapsed onto her couch. The events of the past 2 days swirled in her mind like a hurricane. She pulled out her phone and stared at the encrypted files Marcus had given her. Should she look at them again? Dive deeper into the rabbit hole? Or delete them and focus solely on the energy story? A text message appeared on her screen from Jungkook's private number. Thank you for your wisdom today. Wisdom? Was that what she'd shown? Or cowardice? Or complicity? Zara set the phone aside and opened her laptop. She needed to prepare for tomorrow's interviews, to organize her thoughts about the energy technology and its world-changing potential. As she worked, crafting talking points and anticipating questions, she found herself becoming genuinely emotional about the technology's possibilities. Whether it came from human ingenuity or alien origins, the fact remained that it could help millions of people. She thought about her parents' village in India, where power outages were still common, about refugee camps she'd reported from, where lack of electricity meant lack of clean water, medical care, and education, about remote communities all over the world that had been left behind by traditional power infrastructure. By the time morning came, Zara had barely slept, but she felt clear about her message. When the cameras went live on Morning America, she spoke not just as a reporter, but as someone who truly understood what was at stake. What we're talking about isn't just a new gadget or a slight improvement on existing technology, she explained to the host and millions of viewers. This is potentially the end of energy scarcity. Imagine a world where power is abundant, clean, and accessible to everyone, from the largest cities to the most remote villages. And you've seen this technology working with your own eyes? The host asked. I have, Zara confirmed. Independent experts tested it extensively while I was there. It powers itself and generates additional energy that can be used for anything from charging a phone to running industrial equipment. But surely there must be some catch, the host pressed. Nothing is really free, is it? Zara paused, choosing her words carefully. The science behind it is complex. It harnesses quantum energy that has always existed all around us, but that we've never been able to capture before. It's not magic or a perpetual motion machine. It's based on solid physics principles, just ones we're only beginning to fully understand. Throughout the day, as Zara moved from one interview to another, she maintained this balance. Excitement about the technology's potential while acknowledging the legitimate questions people had. She was factual, thoughtful, and above all, human. On CNN, she became unexpectedly emotional when describing how the technology could help disadvantaged communities. I've reported from places where children can't study after dark because there's no electricity, where hospitals can't keep vaccines cold, where clean water is unavailable because there's no power for purification systems. Her voice cracked slightly. This technology could change all of that. The clip went viral within hours. Zara Smith, the hard-hitting reporter known for her skepticism, showing genuine emotion about the potential of Jungkook's invention. By the time she returned to the Global Spotlight studio for the evening broadcast, Zara had become more than just a reporter covering a story. She had become the human face of hope for what this technology could mean. And as the red light on camera lit up once more, Zara knew that whatever secrets still lay hidden in her phone, she had done something important today. She had told the truth as she understood it. Not the whole truth, perhaps, but enough of it to matter. 6 months passed in a whirlwind of activity. Jungkook's quantum energy integration technology moved from demonstration to implementation with remarkable speed. The first units were deployed to remote villages in Africa and Asia, bringing power to communities that had never had it before. Zara had become the go-to journalist for coverage of the technology's rollout. She had traveled to 12 countries, documenting the impact of QEI on people's lives. Clean water pumped by quantum-powered systems, schools lit after dark for the first time, medical clinics able to refrigerate vaccines and run life-saving equipment. Each story reinforced her belief that she had made the right decision 6 months ago. Whatever the origin of the technology, its benefits were undeniable and very human. The encrypted files from Marcus remained on her phone, untouched since that day. Sometimes she thought about deleting them, making a clean break from the burden of knowledge they represented. But something always stopped her, a journalist's instinct that the full story would need to be told someday. Today, Zara stood in a windy, dusty village square in rural Kenya, filming the installation of the region's first QEI unit. Children danced around the small silver box as technicians made final adjustments. When the system activated, solar-powered lights strung between houses illuminated the gathering darkness, and cheers erupted from the villagers. This is what matters, Zara thought, filming the celebration on her phone. Not alien technology or cosmic mysteries, but human lives improved in tangible ways. Her phone buzzed with a text notification. She expected it to be from her producer back in New York, but instead saw Jungkook's private number. The message was simple: "It's time for Phase 2. Are you ready to tell the rest of the story?" Zara's heart raced. She hadn't heard from Jungkook directly in months, though she'd covered his company's work extensively. She texted back, "What's Phase 2? The reply came immediately, "Not by text. Check your email for flight details. We'll talk tomorrow." That night, in her tent at the edge of the village, Zara opened her laptop to find a first-class ticket to Nevada and coordinates for a meeting point different from the desert facility she'd visited before. She also found an encrypted video call waiting. When she accepted, she saw Jungkook standing in what appeared to be the same facility she toured 6 months ago. "Ms. Smith," he greeted her. "Thank you for your work these past months. You've helped people understand the importance of this technology better than anyone could have." "I've just shown what I've seen," Zara replied. "The impact speaks for itself." "It does," Jungkook agreed. "And now it's time for the next step." The energy technology was just the beginning, a way to prepare people, to help them understand that the universe is bigger and more remarkable than we've imagined. "What people don't know," he continued, "is where we go next." Jungkook stepped aside, revealing something behind him that made Zara gasp. Gleaming under the laboratory lights was a sleek vessel unlike any aircraft she had ever seen. Its surface had the same iridescent quality she remembered from the materials in the laboratory 6 months ago. The camera panned to show the side of the vessel, where elegant script spelled out, "Project First Contact Initiative." "Is that?" Zara couldn't finish the question. "It's our response to what we found," Jungkook explained. "They reached out to us. Now we're reaching back." Zara stared at the screen, her mind racing with possibilities. After 6 months of telling half the story, the full truth was finally emerging. And it was more extraordinary than even she had imagined. "When do we start?" she asked.